This is Coffee and a Pancake, or just an interview with coffee. No pancake, sorry. Chris Hill, the chef Chris Hill. How's it going, brother?
It's good, man. Good to be back in town.
Good to have you back.
Absolutely.
It's December
7th.
7th. Your football team has recently done well.
We have
University of Alabama alum. Real tied to that.
It's a good time of year for us.
I know you're excited for that. Maybe what happened last year will happen again this year.
Well, we're on the playoffs. Hopefully
You went to the playoffs last year, though. We
Yeah.
all know what happened there.
Yeah.
Buckeyes.
Different outcome this year, different story.
We'll see. We'll see. So, drinking some lovely coffee. But what I want to talk to you today about is, so you write a lot of blog posts, and then you create a lot of kind of micro blog posts, which I will say can be in many different forms. Some of them are written, some of them are videos. How do you figure out what piece of content that you're going to do? And to start, we'll say that content is any type of material that you can distribute, whether it be video or kind of an actual blog post out to people. How do you decide what to post and how much time are you spending on that, and then how do you kind of distribute it?
Well, I think the first thing to do is to understand your audience, figure out who's watching this and who do I want to watch this, or read this, or whatever it is, how they consume your content. I think the first thing you do is really figure out who you want to be your target audience, and then figure out like my audience has changed a lot in the last couple of years. It went from a kind of home cook. I'm trying to share my recipes and my home cook. Now it's more like the professional chef, trying to be positive and give them encouragement and things like that.
Is that because that's who you were before? So before you kind of were the home cook, like even though you had your own restaurant, you weren't professionally trained, right? And so you kind of were that. So you kind of delivered information to people that were similar to you. And as you grew and became a chef, you thought, that kind of information could be distributed differently, or how did you kind of come up?
Yeah, well, I think I saw that as kind of an opportunity. The Rachel Ray or the Tyler Florence of men cooks, that they're very approachable and kind of more mainstream. But then I really saw the bigger opportunity, kind of the untapped part of the market, which is I think really where people need to look at themselves and say, all right, what can I do and bring value to the marketplace that's not there right now? I had a post recently on Facebook that had 65,000 shares, which means there's a lot of people out there that are cooking that have a similar kind of feeling and story that I have that you can kind of tap into. So what kind of unique selling point do I have that I can bring that'll help people get excited about what I'm doing?
So filling a hole and delivering and producing information that's not there, like how extensive do you need to go to figure out whether or not that hole really is there or not? So some people say, I'm starting this business and there's no competitors in the world that are doing this, when even with simple Google searches you figure out that there's a ton of people doing that type of thing. So how do you determine that hole really isn't there, or that hole really needs to be filled?
Well, I think you need to figure out that the hole needs to be filled, and I think you need to figure out that you're good enough to fill it. I think a lot of it is putting the work and doing enough to where, because for a long time I was doing it and there's a hole that needed to be filled, I just wasn't filling it. I wasn't putting out good enough content. I wasn't doing whatever it was that needed to be done. So I think you need to, whether it's having a part-time job or going in full-time, like you need to really give it a shot for X number of time and say, all right, like I can at least invest enough of my time to give it a really good go.
Did you say you had 65,000 shares on a post?
Yeah, man. My I have like 16,000 Facebook followers now.
Mm-hmm.
Beginning of Thanksgiving week, 10 days ago, I had 10,000. So I've gotten 6,000 new followers in the last week or 10 days.
And was there any kind of specific strategy behind that, or?
Well, it's been a lot of trying to connect with this new audience I have of the professional cook, really needing encouragement. So some of it's needing encouragement, some of it's finding things that they'll find humorous or funny. But it's really knowing their lifestyle, knowing who they are as cooks and the things that we all kind of find funny or humorous or really appreciate, and then bringing that to the table and knowing that like I can know instantly if something's going to work or not.
And how do you know that instantly?
Well, first of all, I have a pretty good gut feeling, and then once you post something, I'll have 10 likes within a minute or 2 minutes.
So a lot of people talk about Facebook pages. So we're talking about a Facebook page,
Right.
Which is Chef Chris Hill. Is that what it is?
Chef Chris Hill.
Chef Chris Hill. And that page, you push a piece of content, and so I'm trying to like literally spell this out piece by piece. So you produce content, you
Sure.
figure it out, you think it's the right thing. Okay, let's assume that is proven to your at least standards. Then you post something, and then pretty much within a couple of minutes, you're saying if you don't have a lot of likes, you know if it will go good or bad.
Good, exactly.
And you're not paying, you're not boosting to do any of these things.
I've done some of that before, but I haven't done that in a while, which is pretty cool because my reach last week with the one post with 65,000 shares plus some other ones,
Yeah.
my reach was around 12 million people, and so
65,000 shares,
65,000 shares.
16,000 followers,
yeah.
and 12 million
So
impressions.
yeah, it's all organic and
Very good.
and a lot of so a lot of it is kind of going back to the drawing board and saying, all right, well, this piece didn't work. Why not? And maybe it's a time of day, but I don't want to use that because I have fans over in Asia or in Europe, so a lot in Australia and Canada even. So there's all sorts of time zones coming into play. So I don't really use that. But I say, well, why did this work? Was it the way that I worded the title?
Mm-hmm.
Was it the way that the article was written that the title didn't resonate with people? Or maybe it just wasn't funny or interesting to people? And kind of using all of those pieces of content as focus groups for your next piece of content.
Interesting. So you're not really worried about the time aspect of when you push it. You're not really worried about the material that you're worried about the material that you're sending, making sure that it goes to the right people, tweaking it, doing those things.
Right.
What about the frequency? How often are you pushing different things? Do you have kind of like a calendar that says, I'm going to post something funny at 1 o'clock on a Friday, on 10 o'clock
Right.
on a Saturday? Like, because some people are specific. And say,
absolutely.
This is how it is.
I wish I had a little more strategically planned than I do, but I definitely have. I don't schedule things in terms of I'll be asleep at 3 a.m. Eastern and I'll put it out. I want to be awake and I want to be able to see how people are interacting with it. If people are commenting right off the bat, I want to go.
So you're not automating things that. So when you post, you actually post, is what you're saying.
Yeah.
So I follow a very similar model for the majority of our stuff, and the reason why it is because for that reason, if someone starts commenting,
I want to be able to jump
you
in.
want to be able to jump in, and even if it's just a simple thanks for sharing, just saying you're welcome, and I think oftentimes people try to automate things that shouldn't be automated, or try to automate things at the wrong times when it's just like you want the conversation, it's right there. Why aren't you having the conversation?
Exactly. Or like if I would have automated some things like in the middle of like the San Bernardino shootings, or like in the French shootings, like a month ago or whatever it was, if I would have been asleep and would automate that stuff, it looks a little bit distasteful if that stuff kind of goes live and then I'm here trying to push this agenda.
Well, so we do automate certain things. So the things that we automate are certain emails that go out every week. So we have a weekly email that we produce that for people that live in the market here in Norfolk, Virginia Beach, that they figure out these are the entrepreneurial things that are going on in town.
Right.
So every Monday at 9:15, that email goes out. But there's nothing really specific. I mean, there's time-sensitive things, as in you have to sign up for this event if you're going to go to it. But it's more of a recurring thing to make sure that it's there from a frequency standpoint, week to week to week.
And it's not like, hey, I decided to send you this email right now because you need it right now.
Well,
they know it's coming.
And another thing I think is funny is when people are like saying, give me your thoughts on this thing, and then that person doesn't comment for 8 hours because they were sleeping.
Right.
And maybe it's nice to wake up to having several hundred likes and some comments, but at the same time, you're trying to create that relationship with people, and automation is good for certain things, but not for a lot of things. So like, if you just bought something and you get a receipt automatically delivered to your email, okay, that's probably fine. You probably don't have to figure out that specific thing. But if you're, or like, so you have an event and someone signed up for that, you might not have to give an exact thing immediately, but you could at a later time reach out to that person and say, hey, thanks for signing up.
Exactly.
You know, I want to have those kind of things. And I think the more relationship building that you do, the better it is.
And the more on top of it you stay, like if somebody does comment, you know, right now, if I post something, if we share this video on Facebook or Twitter or YouTube, whatever it is, and somebody comments on it, the more we stay on top of it, you know, in real time, the more we're able to actually stay on top of it. We don't get behind the 8 ball. And I mean,
sure.
Because that one post with 65,000 shares, it was more of like a comical thing. So I didn't have to jump in there and be part of the conversation, but it helps.
How many comments were on that too?
That's what I was gonna say. It was 3,000 or 4,000 comments.
Wow. So were you able to communicate on all of those? I mean, like at some point,
I tried to jump in and like every single one.
Right.
It was.
I call it the birthday, your birthday effect.
Exactly.
Right? And so like every year on my birthday, I made this a point probably 3 years ago. Is that on my birthday every year that I will like and comment on every single person that says happy birthday to me.
Right.
Why? Because I think that at the end of the day, when people say, oh, thanks for all the birthday wishes, and they had 50 people do it, it's like cheap. It's like that person went out of their way to do it to you, but you are disrespecting them to do it back. Now, I haven't gotten to the point where I'm getting thousands of people wishing me happy birthday. Maybe at that point I won't be able to. But I believe that oftentimes we're just so freaking lazy when someone's doing this thing that we want them to do that we can't even communicate with them back.
And that's like a big picture thing too. You know, it's I mean, just in terms of building a business, like you got to put in the work, like with building a relationship, like do the hard things, the things that aren't fun or sexy, to get those people.
It's 11:15. It's 11:15 last night, and I'm communicating with people that aren't customers yet, that potentially could be, and just having a relationship with them, just talking to them, saying what's going on, you know, like not really selling anything at all, and it's just pushing to them that, you know, I care, that I'm there, and you know, sometimes it takes 6 months, 12 months, 18 months for them to buy the thing that I want them to. But oftentimes it's not even just that product purchase, that service purchase. It's like, what will they do for you in that meantime?
Yeah, exactly.
What will they refer to you? And so recently someone had lost their job and reached out to me and said, you know, thank you for being there throughout these last 6 months.
You didn't have anything to give them, probably. They probably couldn't buy anything.
I just reached out to them,
exactly.
you know, and just said, look, you know, I said some of the words that I remember Damon saying a lot when I was able to talk with him, Damon John, and he said, you know, don't quit your day job. And so I think a lot of people want to quit that job first because they see the American dream, the American hustle as this thing that's awesome. But if it's not going to work if you don't have the things in place, right? So if you're not willing to live off of your credit cards for a year or two, if you're not willing to, you know, not be able to Netflix and chill, if you're not willing to, I love that, you know, I think people love Netflix and chill, and that's fine if that's the life that you want.
Right.
But I posted something last night that says, you know, these people who say I can't start a business because capital is the issue, and I say
you start business for $15 right now.
All the time people are like, oh, I can't do this thing because capital's issue. And I say, but then you go look at their Facebook page or their Twitter account or their Instagram account or whatever their social feed is, and you see what they're doing.
Yeah.
And you say, okay, if instead you did not do those things for a year, you could probably have $10,000 to save your business.
Oh, yeah.
But you're not willing to do that because you're not willing to do it yourself. You want someone else's money.
Right.
But then when they present to you, I'll give you this thing and it's going to cost you 25% APR to do it, or I want 50% of your company. You're like, oh, this is my idea.
Right.
No. Like, you got to be able to put skin in the game too.
Yeah.
And as someone who's invested in companies, like, skin in the game is important.
Oh, absolutely. If you show us that you're in it.
Yeah. You know, if I was going to someone and say, look, this is how I started this company. This is I had no net worth. I had no net value. This is what I did. These are the steps I went through. I had $10,000 in credit card available space. I figured out how to get to 20. I removed all of my nonsense things. I used to Netflix and chill all the time. Now I don't Netflix and chill. Right. I started eating ramen. I started, like, all these little things. It's like these people believe that because they watch it on TV that's the way that it has to be.
Yeah.
When instead, one of the greatest pieces of advice someone ever gave me is start living on like 10% of your income, so that you could take, or as low percentage as possible. So if you
put all the rest back in,
put it in a savings account, and then as you're building something up, then you can transfer that over and you have that money to do it. Because most people really, I believe, when they hear they're raising money, they think that they're raising money so then they can have a nice salary. Right? But raising money doesn't mean making money. You still got to do all these really crazy things. Like, we should not be celebrating people that raise money.
Right.
We should be
You're giving away part of your business.
Yeah. Like, you celebrate the fact that you have a chance to move more forward. But if you haven't made a sale yet, there's no transaction. Yeah, it doesn't mean anything. So you still got to figure out how to do all those things. And so,
I think part of it too is being able to get the money to come in and have enough of a patience game to say, all right, well, I'm going to put this money back into the business so it can make more money versus, oh, I'm going to go take all these trips, or now I can Netflix and chill because I've made that first over the hump.
And I believe that we all need to live our lives, right? So while I say all these things, I do believe that people do need to hustle. They do need to, not be lazy, but they do need to live their lives too. So and as Jeremy's laughing at me over here, the reason I say this is because we have to stay sane.
Oh yeah.
Right? And oftentimes I think we don't stay sane, whether that means going to the gym, maybe going to get a massage or something like that. Like, there are certain things in place that have to happen.
I spent the whole day at Christmas Town yesterday.
Yeah,
and
we have to be real people because it gets us away from that.
It does, and it reminds. I mean, if you don't spend time with the people that are important to you, your girlfriend, my girlfriend, like if you don't do those things, then A, they feel unappreciated, and then you end up losing them, and B, like you kind of lose sight of the things that you're doing all that stuff for.
Absolutely, and so there's plenty of people in the world that work 24/7, and while that's great,
I've been there before.
Yeah, I think we should try and realize that you have to work hard to get to those things, and absolutely work long days and everything, but also incorporate things in place so that when you do when you do feel successful or you do have made it, you define that and your life doesn't change, right? So that the dollar amount doesn't change. For me, people ask me, what's your why? It's to stay happy, right? Or why are you doing this? I want to be happy. I've been in corporate America, you've been in corporate America, where it sucked. And I hated waking up every day. I hated going to the office and doing that stuff, and never want to do that again. And now I work 2 or 3 times the amount of that, of the times that I was supposed to be working there, so the 40 hours a week, right? And so,
but it's a lot more fun because you do it for yourself. You're able to build something.
Absolutely, and it just changes. I love how we got off topic from how to write content to the real lifestyle.
Which sounds like a perfect piece to write on Medium and have go viral next week.
Yeah, love it.
But to go back to content, another thing I think that's important is finding ways to kind of cross-utilize things. Taking a video that we just made and putting it up on YouTube, but also maybe sharing on Facebook, and then saying, all right, well, I can take the pieces from that video and also make a Medium article or put some sort of written content out of it as well.
So leverage the crap out of it, right?
Yeah.
So you wrote this one thing that was 1,000 words for chefchrishill.com, whatever, what is it? BachelorKitchen.com.
Yeah, exactly.
And then, so you have that post, it's great, but then you're like, okay, how do we understand what this medium is?
Yeah.
Right? Because that's important, right? You're not going to post a text file on Instagram, right? So, and then figuring out what would appeal to people there, and then distributing it in those kind of ways, right? And so that's,
exactly. Like if I have a podcast, why wouldn't I have it on Stitcher also? And why wouldn't I put it on YouTube as an hour-long video, even if it's just kind of like an image with what's happening in the video, just in case there's people there that might come across it.
Well, it's like the TV show, Hampton Roads Business Weekly. Talking with the team a couple weeks ago, or maybe even a week ago, it was like they're looking for different mediums to start doing things. And I'm like, why don't we do a podcast, right? So, and literally just audio file the already rendered video and just do that. And so the show is evergreen already.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, there's like the one segment out of the 20 or so that we've done already that was time sensitive, but the information in it was good. It was just like one line that says, do this thing by this date, and it'll be fine.
Right. And you could always put in like a 1 minute kind of the front of what's happening to kind of set the stage for
if we really want to.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, like it's the point where like we introduce things at the beginning of the week. It's like, hi, I'm Zach. Hi, I'm Cheryl. This is what we're talking about today, and go to the show. And so we could add pieces to it, but it's probably 95% of the way there, and it's like, let's just see if this is a good fit. So I like that.
And if people like it, cool. If not, then all right, it doesn't really work, and we can take it down or leave it up and let people find it if they will.
Exactly. A lot of people it's the unknown, and so while it's a TV show, doesn't mean that the information that's there isn't good for.
It's a lot of like, to me, it's the whole idea, bigger theme is a lot of like what Seth Godin talks about of like, if I try and fail more than you do, I win. So trying little things, that might not work.
I mean, we have a program, a product that we want 1,000 customers in. We got to talk to a lot of people to get to 1,000, right? I think we're almost around 100 right now. And like, there's been a lot of no's this last year. Even little things that I was like, I did not expect you to say no to that. Like, I just made it super easy for you, and it's still no. So you learn from that, you tweak things. Like, I love that. The more no's you hear, the more successful you're going to be.
Right.
But I think people have to, like, people talk about failure. Like, I don't like, and I use the word failure, but it's not necessarily failure. Like, failure is like absolutely losing everything.
Right.
In my opinion, it changes for people.
And that's why I think it's the Seth Godin, I fail more than you do. Little small chances that keep you in the game, but help you find out.
Absolutely.
You're getting closer.
This email didn't get opened a lot. Why not?
Right.
This thing didn't click a lot. Why not? What should we have put more pieces to it? Like, did we mess up? Was the button not clickable? All these little things, and so I don't necessarily think and I guess failure is one of those sexy entertainment words, and that's why we use it. But it's just like you're just trying things out.
And that's how like I think your social media content, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, podcast, show, sharing all that stuff, it gives us every single time we share it an opportunity to see what worked, what didn't work, and why didn't it.
How quickly are you analyzing the information and then trying to repeat that thing again?
Pretty much in real time.
Yeah.
I mean,
And so how are you doing that then? Do you just look at it and say, okay, looks like these people are here?
Well, I mean, a majority of the success, partly because you're able to see what's happening, is that I do on Facebook, but also maybe on Medium, which is a great anywhere where you get a good feel for what's happening as people are reading it or sharing it. I'm seeing this many people clicked on it, this many people read it, this many people shared it with their friends, and if they did share it with their friends, I can pretty much tell or know why. There's certain ways to word things, certain types of buzzwords that I hate to go for the low hanging fruit all the time, but sometimes I feel like it's a little bit easier than playing the virtue game.
So what do you mean by that? Like what? Like the 12 easy ways to
12 easy ways to tell an entrepreneur he's going to kill it next year, like things like that are
more likely to go viral than not.
Right. But
what do you think about selling outliers? So a lot of people like to do how I made $3 million by doing this one thing, but that's the outlier, and a lot of people like to. So like if you look, so they did that once, and then they had 1,000 other people that didn't do it, but they tell that one story. What do you think about that as kind of a push? Do you think that's good, bad, ugly?
I think as long as it's not
deceitful,
clickbait or deceitful or just plain tactical. I think if there's an actual method and strategy you can put behind it, that it can work. But you see all these people, how I made all these millions of dollars doing email marketing. There's a couple of those guys that have worked and that exist. But there's a lot of people that have tried that have spent $1,000 on these email marketing things that haven't worked.
If you're telling the truth, it's okay. But if you're lying about it, it's not.
Yeah, I mean, if you're saying, hey, do this, and you're going to live on a beach in Tahiti, and it's...
I don't even want to live on a beach in Tahiti.
Well, I don't either, but a lot of people do. A lot of people aren't willing to put in the work, so they find the easiest way to get from A to B. And that's what...
I can't imagine not doing something. I think this Christmas time, I'm going to, in some respects, take off 10 days. In some, not physically come to the office.
Right.
That'll be the first time I've done that in a really long time. This year was the first time I did a vacation in 2 years. I don't feel like I've missed out.
But you still probably won't be able to completely disconnect.
Oh, there's no way.
Yeah.
I'll have a computer. Like we're talking about doing something for New Year's, and it's just like I'm still gonna bring my computer. It doesn't mean I'm gonna do anything with it.
Right.
But I probably don't have to. I mean, the company will probably be fine. Hopefully, it'll be fine. But you know what? At the end of the day, if it takes a couple days to recover, whatever. Like,
Yeah.
You have so much clout building something up. You're not gonna lose it in a day.
Yeah.
Unless you're like Pompeii or something like that. So you've told me that these videos need to be shorter. So I'm gonna cut it off. Where do we find more information about you?
We find more on me, Chef Chris Hill on Facebook.
Tagging everything in the comments.
But then you can also take, this is a great example of cross-utilizing content. You can take this where we've talked about 5 or 6 different things and then cut it into, you can have one big video, but then you can also cut it into 5 different 5-minute segments.
Got it. So this is great. So cameraman Yehoshua, exactaccounting.net. He thinks accounting sucks. I think most people do too. Appreciate the love with you guys today.
Always a pleasure, man.
Enjoying your hair. I should have done mine as well.
I've had like 3 straight haircuts that have been painful. My girlfriend's like, you need to get a haircut. I was like, I tried twice in the last 2 weeks.
Love it. Appreciate it.
Who's that? Your DHL guy?